Greetings, Deep Dive Podcast listeners. This is your boy, Sam Oram, coming at you with another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Guys, we're here another week, another Thursday night, and we have been rolling over the past few weeks and months. Season 3 has been a blast. We've been having a lot of fun, guys, and I tell you what, I'm excited just to get a chance to continue to converse with the audience around the world. We're in some 172 countries around the world. People are starting to really, share the vision of the Deep Dive Podcast, which really makes me happy, makes me really proud to know that we're affecting so many people around the world in such a positive way. Every week we talk about having guests, but then every week, when I ask the Facebook group, what should we talk about this week? We have a private group for those of you who don't know. So you want to join that private group. But when I talk about it and ask them, what is it that we should talk about? It's always about these empowerment topics. So as long as you guys want it, I'm going to continue to bring it to you. But yeah, man, it has been a blast. I want for those of you who are listening in for the very first time, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Everybody, continue to like, subscribe, download, and share. It is important that we continue to get this message out. We're preparing for the last quarter of season 3, and we're already preparing for season 4. So it's gonna be wow. It's gonna be something to behold. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag as I typically do, so I'm not gonna even go there. But look, we're gonna talk about a topic tonight that so many people are interested in. So many people have talked about. It's so necessary at this particular moment in time, and that's basically how do we become mentally strong? How do we become mentally strong? What do we need to do to become mentally strong? The reason this is so important, the reason this topic is so important is because people are getting beat up every which way, every single day. People are being beat up at their job, their political situation, their spiritual, social, religious situation. People are just getting beat up everywhere they go. It's just tragic. I saw a reel of there was a shooting at the baseball game of 8-year-old kids. It was just 8-year-old kids just playing little league or t-ball or whatever they call it. But 8-year-old kids were playing baseball with the little league, and people just started shooting. That's just madness, man. And I think it's something going on with humanity because it's not just here in America. It's all over the world where people are just spazzing out. They just wilding out. They just doing all kind of crazy things. And in order for us to circumvent a lot of the stuff that they're doing, look, to be honest with you, we just got to be mentally strong. We have to be a better version of what we've ever been. I mean, we got to have tough skin. We got to be resilient. We got to do all the things that it's going to take in order for us to survive all of this stuff and survive inflation, to survive the pandemic, to survive the lack of intimacy and affection. We couldn't interact with people for a while, right? To be able to survive that, to survive all of the foolishness that is the political environment, the tribalism that's going on. We talk about this all the time. Well, you got to get tough. You got to develop a mental toughness in order to survive. A couple of things that I want to share with you that can help you in that regard. One thing I think that's important to develop that mental toughness is to just stay focused on the moment. Control what you can control right now. I think so many people, they try to control things, the future. They even try to control the past. It's already gone. What are you going to do about the past, right? They try to control the past. They try to control the future. Focus on the moment. Control what you can right now because it's going to give you more capacity, more capability to fight this particular fight. Why are you fighting tomorrow's fight when you ain't won this one yet, right? Fight this fight, win this fight. So you want to focus a bit on the moment. Something else you want to do is kind of embrace adversity because you know it's coming. As soon as you make a decision to do something great, adversity is going to come. Well, embrace the adversity. Be ready for the fight. My mentor, I mention him all the time. He's passed on, Dr. Miles Monroe, but one of the things he always talk about is that every thought and every idea is going to be tested for authenticity. You're going to be tested. Every idea is going to be tested. Every thought is going to be tested. Every vision is going to be tested. Every time you make a decision, you know what? I make a decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start my own business. Then the transmission fall out the car. Or I'm going to go to church this week, no matter what. And something happened and the car won't start. It's just going to happen. Every thought, every idea, every concept, every vision is going to be tested for authenticity. You will be tested for authenticity. Do you really believe what you say? Do you really believe that? Are you committed to what you say? One of my favorite sayings now, I've adopted this over the last few months because I think it's powerful. Are you willing to commit to your commitment? Are you willing to commit to your commitment? Because see, some people, they get committed for 24 to 48 hours. As soon as the first little bit of adversity hit them in the face, then they quit, or whatever the case may be, or they go back into their shell. Are you willing to go through what it takes? Are you willing to be tested for authenticity? Embrace that adversity. It's going to be tough, but embrace it. You know how so many people don't realize their New Year's resolution? They resolve something on January the 1st every year to do this, lose weight or eat better or do all of this stuff. And before January is over, they've already, they're eating bad and they're not working out and not doing the things that they said less than 30 days ago, right? It's because there was adversity that took place and they weren't prepared to embrace that adversity. They weren't prepared to embrace that adversity. I tell people all the time, and I'm guilty. It's not like I'm perfect. I'm guilty because I tell people all the time, I love my sweets, my cookies, pies, cakes, candy, all that good stuff. And boy, I say all the time, I'm gonna cut back, or I'm gonna cut out, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but it don't happen. Soon as this podcast is over, I'm gonna get me a big hunk of sweet potato pie and worry about it later. So, I kind of have to. I'm cracking myself up. It's funny when I'm by myself and I'm doing this podcast, and I'm just cracking up, laughing at myself, really laughing at y'all because I know how y'all think. I know some of y'all that's tuned in and know how you think. But anyway, need I digress? Yeah, you want to embrace that adversity though. So because once you accept the worst possible outcome, then all of a sudden nothing else seems to bother you. I remember when I don't think I maybe still in college or right after college, and I was struggling to pay my electric bill. And I'm like trying to do odd jobs or this or that just to pay my electric bill. And it just was overwhelming. I was just spazzing out. And you know what? I got to a point, I'm like, you know what? They turn off the electricity. They turn off the electricity. I'll sit in the dark. I'll make it happen. If they're gonna turn it off, just turn it off. I'm tired of even worried about it. Man, as soon as I said that, it was like everything was released. All the stress, all of this, all of that. And you know what? They never did turn it off. I was stressing and over stressing for no reason. They never did turn it off. But you know, I embrace that adversity. I'm like, you know what? They turn it off, turn it off. So what? I'll just sit in the dark until I'm able to pay for it. Embrace the adversity. Exercise your mind. You got to do certain things that's going to help you exercise your mind. I believe this with everything that's in me. I believe that success is learned and failure is learned. A lot of times people talk about, different processes. People talk about, they grew up in a certain neighborhood or they grew up economically in a certain situation. They talk about the man did this or they did this and all this other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there have been exceptions to all of those things. That tells me it's not unique. I do believe that every success and every failure is learned. So here's what I learned when I was young. And I carry this over still to this day. Start with small victories. Start with small wins. Start doing some things or setting some goals that you absolutely have no doubt that you can and will achieve. Because what start to happen is with these small victories, your spirit, your intuitive behavior, your mind, your everything, it starts to permeate who you are. And it gets to a point, I'm telling y'all, you may not believe me, but I'm telling you, it get to a point where you cannot conceive failure because all you've known is success. And that success came because you created small wins here or there. My business, you see, I have the shirt on One Voice Worldwide. Right, I have a company called One Voice Worldwide, and it's a customer acquisition company. One of the things that we do and tell people in terms of acquisition of customers, don't try to get 50 till you get one. Get one and celebrate that victory. Praise progress. Then get another. Praise progress. You cannot get to 50 without getting one. But what that one would do, and that second one would do, and that third one would do, it starts to train your mindset for victory. Those small wins are important. And then I'm telling you, after a while, it's like, oh yeah, no matter what you do, you expect to win. And that's how I am today. People call it, you can call it arrogant, cocky, whatever you want to call it, but my mind can't comprehend failure. I don't mean it's like I don't think about it. I mean, my mind can't comprehend it. It's like it doesn't exist in my mind because I have been conditioned. I have conditioned myself for victory, to win, just by a bunch of small wins. It don't have to be nothing big, just something small. And you do something 21 days consecutive without fail, it becomes a part of you. Just start doing some small victories here or there. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Come out of that comfort zone and challenge yourself to do something great. Playing it safe, that's just going to hold you back from your success. Playing it safe is going to hold you back. People talk about, well, I want to get my ducks in a row. Let me tell you something. Ducks ain't going to ever get in a row. Trying to get your ducks in a row is like trying to push a rope in a straight line. It just ain't going to happen, right? Playing it safe and all this other kind of stuff. See, life is too short. You just don't know. You just don't know. I don't have a lot of regrets, but one regret I do have, I still have, and I have it for the rest of my life is I made some promises to my mom, and my mom passed when she was 68 years old, just about 5, 6 years, 7 years ago. And she was only 68. I say only 68. That's young for a parent, but she was only 68. And my only regret is that I did not accomplish all of the things for her that I had promised for her. Yeah, we did a lot. I was able to retire her and was able to do all of these things for her. But at the end of the day, there was much, much more that only the two of us talked about in our private times. Well, playing it safe will not allow you. You don't know when that time is up for you or for your loved one. You just don't know. You don't have time to play it safe. You got to go out and get it. That's what a strong mindset, being strong mentally is all about. You got to go out and get it. You got to make it happen. Don't play it safe. Go out there and do it. Take the chances, take the risks, right? Um, Also make sure that you even in taking risks and going out there and doing all of these things, you have to be able to respond positively to every situation because you can't control everything that comes your way. I talked about it earlier. You cannot control everything that comes your way, but you are absolutely in control about the way with which you react to those things that come your way. So you can't control it happening, but you 100% can control how you react to it. 100%. I was thinking about something that I was going to say. It was kind of funny, but it was kind of like off the wall as well. And I'm practicing not going off the wall, or some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Sometimes stuff just come out of my mouth, just out of left field. Well, I'm practicing not to do that anymore. So I won't say what I'm thinking, but the bottom line is this: just control how you react to certain situations. That's the bottom line. And a part of that is just being mindful. Be mindful, and that just means just taking control of your focus. Being mindful means taking control and being intentional about what you give your attention to. Let me say that again because that's something you need to absolutely know and focus on. Hopefully, y'all are taking notes. But mindfulness, it really means just taking control of your focus. What is it that you're focusing in on? What is it that you're thinking about? And it also means, we're still talking about mindfulness, being intentional about what you give your attention to. You can't give your attention and your energy to everything and everybody and all these things. A lot of this stuff are just distractions. They're just distractions. So you have to be intentional about what you give your attention to. Whether it's an emotion, whether it's a thought, a belief, an impulse, whatever it is, got to be intentional. Got to be intentional about what it is that you're giving your attention to. Especially in relationships, man. There's a lot of times where it's so difficult for marriages, for relationships, for friendships and all of these things. It is so difficult for those things to work long time if if you're not intentional about what you give your attention to. In other words, if you're married, you have a responsibility to your spouse. If you have kids, you have a responsibility to your kids. Your responsibilities to them are first and foremost before anything and anybody else. You have to be intentional about that. A lot of people are not, hence the high rate of divorce, hence the disruption in the home, all of these other things, because your attention and intentions are misplaced. You got to be careful with that. Got to be mindful of that. And don't allow, we're talking about just going after your goals, just going after it. Again, we're talking about building a strong mindset, strong mentality. Don't be defeated by fear. Don't allow fear to defeat you. A lot of times people are just afraid. And here's the thing some people don't know. A lot of people are afraid to fail, but a lot of people are afraid to succeed. I know so many people who consistently get at the threshold of their greatness and they always stop. They always stop at the threshold of their greatness. Well, why do they always stop? They're not afraid of failure, they're afraid of the success. Because even with success, there comes a responsibility. My mentor talks about heavy is the head that wears the crown. Or is that right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Anyway, the crown is heavy. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So there's a responsibility even being successful. So some people stop. Don't be defeated by fear. A lot of people are afraid to fail. Don't be defeated by fear. Look, let me tell you one thing about fear. A baby is only born with two fears: loud noises and falling. Those are the only two fears that you're born with: loud noises and falling. Those are the only two fears. All other fears are learned. All other fears are learned. Whatever your fear is, it was learned from somewhere. It was learned from somewhere. You're only born with two fears: falling and loud noises. So if you know that, if you can learn it, from my standpoint, you can unlearn it. You scared of snakes? Touch a snake. Well, I know y'all not gonna do that, but you understand what I'm saying, right? But don't let your fears, don't get defeated by your fears. The other thing is you want to be aware of your self-talk, that conversation talk, Talk. Sometimes I have to slow down with my Southern colloquialism. I've been told that they don't understand what I'm saying in some parts of the world because of my accent. So sometimes with my Southern colloquialism, I have to slow down. And sometimes I'll just spell the word, right? So I said, be aware of your self-talk, Talk. But yeah, anyway, having conversations with yourself, a lot of people think it's crazy, but a lot of times you're really kind of talking stuff through. even in a day or your goal or whatever, you're just kind of verbally thinking it through verbally. But be aware of that self-talk because sometimes you may start to create worry. You may start to create doubt. You may allow things to kind of, creep into your mindset that may not have been there before. Make a point of being as positive and as supportive of yourself, as positive and as supportive of yourself as you potentially are to other people. Give yourself the big piece of chicken sometimes. Allow yourself to use the good towels sometimes. Take the plastic off of the furniture. You know, Eat out the good dishes. Y'all, all my friends from the South, we call it the country. All my friends from the country, you know what I'm talking about. That plastic on the sofa, that big piece of chicken. The good towels, mama say to keep the good towels for company. Don't eat off the good plates. You just eat off those Dollar Tree plates, and you say the good plates for company. Well, no, 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 no. I figured all that stuff was crazy. You eat off your own. You are the master of your fate. You eat off your good plates. Use the good towel. Eat the big piece of chicken. That was that whole thing in the South where it's like, it's time for the kids to eat when daddy come home. You got to say the big piece of chicken for daddy. You don't eat the big piece of chicken. That's for daddy. You eat whatever's there. And daddy don't eat the big piece, then you eat what's left. All right. Anyway, but be aware of that self-talk. Be positive to yourself. Get rid of the word can't. That's a debilitating word. No. A lot of times I hear parents always telling their kids, no, stop, don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that from a standpoint of disciplining or teaching. But there are a lot of instances where parents would just say no and can't and all of these things that it becomes debilitating. It has nothing to do with discipline, and everything to do with a mindset. It's like someone, and I'm just giving an example, parent may say, well, why should I waste all my money sending you to college? You ain't going to do anything anyway. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't allow the negative stuff to come in. Rid yourself of can't, rid yourself of negativity, and get the toxic people out of your life. Get the toxic people out of There's some people, they just like, again, I'm practicing my own self-discipline, so I ain't gonna say what's going through my mind right now. But there's some people it's like, I just can't. I can't. I can't. I just can't. I cannot. I just said don't say can't, right? Making myself a liar on my own podcast. Well, y'all know what I'm talking about. Get the negative people out of your life. Let's put it that way. Because toxic people, that stuff, in all seriousness, that stuff can, again, it can permeate your spirit. Have you guys ever like watched like a killer movie or scary movie or something like that, and you went to sleep and it just kind of you had a quick dream or something about it, or I have seen people come out of a movie theater like they were just seeing I call it a shoot 'em up movie, but they just saw a shoot 'em up movie, and I've seen people coming out of the movie like yeah, like they got a gun and acting crazy because they were influenced by that movie. You got to be careful with those things. You got to be careful, even if you stumble towards your success, at least eliminate the negativity. Winston Churchill once said, this is one of the people I talk about in my book, The Mindset of a Champion, but Winston Churchill once said, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Stumbling from failure to failure with no loss in enthusiasm. That means you're going through all of this, the losses and negativity and the this and the that. You're stumbling through failure, but you're still fired up about the end result. Man, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That goes back to being resilient. That goes back to, persevering and doing all of those things that we talked about. So in closing, I just kind of want to, sum all of this up in terms of having a strong mindset. We talked about a lot of things, and there's a ton more. I've talked about this topic multiple times over the 3 seasons of the podcast, but there are more things that you want to do. Want to focus on finding solutions. People spend so much time focusing on the problem. What's the solution? I tell people this all the time. They're always saying that, this is bad, or the economy is bad, or the man is doing this, or this is my question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You're focusing in on what they're doing. You're focusing in on this and that. What are you going to do about it? Because talking to me about it, you ain't going to do nothing, because I ain't paying no attention. I got places to go, right? So what are you going to do about it? Well, they do it. Oh, okay, well, whoever they are, what are you going to do about it? Talking about it is nothing. What are you going to do about it? Well, I'm just, no. What are you going to do about it? Well, I just wanted you to know. Why you want me to know? I don't care about what I put my air quotes up because I've never found who they were. I don't care what they say. I got to live my own dash. I got to live my own life, right? So be careful about those things. Find solutions. Don't focus on the challenge. Focus on the solution. Be grateful. Gratitude. That's Oprah's, again, it's in the book. Oprah's number one key to success is gratitude. It's gratitude. Be grateful. Give praise to God for even the small stuff. Even the small stuff, give praise. Brace yourself for the storms. You know the storms are coming, but give praise, thanks, honor, and glory, and fight through with passion and resilience, even knowing that the storm is coming. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. When you find yourself doubting how far you can go, when you start doubting certain things, just remember how far you've already come. You've made it this far, wherever this is. You've made it this far. Give yourself credit for everything that you faced and the battles that you had to face, even getting to this point. You had some victories. Celebrate those victories. Praise the progress. Make it an everyday pursuit to be great. Most mental strength is created or built and demonstrated not in just exceptional circumstances or great things or big things or, all of this bigness, if you will, if that's a word, but just day-to-day life and day-to-day leadership and day-to-day tasks and day-to-day praise and day-to-day gratitude. That's where the victories come. That's the everyday pursuit, or the small things. Remember, polka a polka, little by little, little by little. Make it an everyday pursuit to be great. All of these little things, guys, that we're talking about, when you combine these little things, your mindset, your mentality, your mental strength becomes impenetrable, because nothing can affect you adversely. Nothing. Positivity, preparation, willingness, discipline, focus, and a long view will serve you well. Those things will serve you well. Those are the things that's going to give you that mental strength. Positivity, preparation. Do the work. You got to do the work. It ain't going to fall in your lap. Positivity, preparation, willingness, discipline. Discipline yourself for greatness. Focus on your greatness. All these little tidbits are going to make your mind stronger than you can ever imagine. Practice mental toughness, and you'll be amazed at how strong you'll become in such a relatively short period of time. It won't take a long time. It just takes some time. You just have to start. You have to incrementally build one victory after the next, after the next, after the next. Before you know it, you become, Superman or Superboy or Supergirl, whatever it may be, because your mindset has developed to a point where nothing can affect you adversely. All right. So, hey, look, guys, I appreciate you joining me on this particular episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Let's keep having fun, man. Look, go to Facebook. There's a Facebook group. The Deep Dive Podcast, may have to put my name, Sam Orr, but the Deep Dive Podcast. This podcast is on YouTube. When you go there, click the like buttons or the subscribe buttons and all that stuff. I'm telling you, you're gonna want to be a part of season 4 coming up. I'm gonna have something special for those people who have been committed. Go to the website, the deepdivepodcast.live, LIVE. I want you to peruse around the website and just look at all of these hundreds of podcasts over the last not hundreds, but all of these podcasts over the last 3 seasons, that there's some substance there that can help you or somebody you may know. We're on every major podcast platform: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, all of them. 22 podcast platforms. Wherever you are, we're there. Show some love, because this is not my podcast. This is our podcast. This is not my vision. This is our vision, right? So let's continue to be great together. Let's continue to have fun. And as I always say, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you on the beaches of the world. God bless, and I'll see you next week.